Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Yeshi Chonzom. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Wednesday, the 9th of February. Protests intensify across India over hijab row in southern Karnataka. Kashmiri political activist blames Pakistan for destruction of Kashmir. And incoming head of US Central Command Kurilla warns of reconstituting Al-Qaeda and ISIS. And now for all the details. Protest over the hijab row in India's southern Karnataka state intensified on Wednesday as students from other parts of the country extended their support to Muslim women students who have been barred from entering educational institutions if they wear the traditional head covering. The Karnataka High Court, hearing the case related to hijab ban in school-college campuses, referred the matter to a larger bench, while schools and colleges in the state were closed for 3 days in wake of the escalating tension.
Students across India extended their support to Muslim women students as protests intensified over a ban on hijab, a traditional head covering, in educational institutions in southern Karnataka state. The pro-hijab protesters holding placards and banners took to the streets and raised slogans against the order by the Karnataka Education Ministry, saying that wearing hijab is their fundamental right to religion. Opposition parties and critics have accused the ruling BJP government at the centre and state level of discriminating against religious minorities and running the risk of stoking violence.
Judge me by what in my head, not by what's on my head. And hijab is our right. It's a fundamental right. We can say proudly that hijab is our fundamental rights.
Meanwhile, authorities in Karnataka's Bengaluru city on Wednesday ordered a ban on protests near educational institutions for 2 weeks, while schools and colleges across the state were shut down for 3 days. Tensions frayed earlier this week after some students with saffron shawls, typically worn by Hindus, thronged into classrooms to show their support of the hijab ban. The Karnataka High Court, hearing a petition in the matter on Wednesday, referred the case to a larger bench, while the judge appealed for peace and calm.
In news from Pakistan, Pakistani Opposition leader Shehbaz Sharif on Tuesday held a meeting with leaders of MQM-P in order to seek support from the allies of the ruling PTI government to oust its leader and Prime Minister Imran Khan. This comes as opposition parties are scheduled to hold rallies over soaring inflation in the country. The MQM-P has sought time to respond.
A day after Pakistan People's Party leader Asif Ali Zardari called on the leaders of PMLQ, opposition PMLN President Shehbaz Sharif on Tuesday, met and sought the help of another government's ally, the Muttahida Qawmi Movement Pakistan or MQM-P, in the opposition's renewed efforts to oust Prime Minister Imran Khan's government. During a meeting at Sharif's residence in Lahore, MQM-P leader Amir Khan said that the people want to get rid of the government as soon as possible, but sought time to respond. Shehbaz said he was hopeful MQM-P will think of the people of Pakistan who are suffering because of the poor policies of the government amid rising inflation, while Prime Minister Khan is not worried about their problems at all.
जो हमारी गुफ्तगू हुई है वो हम जाकर अपनी हाई कमान को अपने राब्ता कमेटी में सारी चीजें उनके इल्म में ले आएंगे फिर जो भी फैसला होगा मुल्क की बेहतरी के लिए उसके ऊपर
This comes as the opposition parties have decided to carry out anti-government long march rallies over the rising inflation on February 27 and on March 23. The country's inflation rate has risen to 13% in January from a year earlier, the highest in 2 years.
Political activist Mahmood Kashmiri has blamed Pakistan of being responsible for the destruction of Kashmir, saying that Islamabad practices hypocrisy, not solidarity with the people of Kashmir. He accused Pakistan falsely claims to have granted autonomy to Pakistan-administered Kashmir, but instead it continues to violate rights of people of the illegally occupied region.
Mahmood Kashmiri, chairman of Jammu Kashmir National Independent Alliance, has slammed Pakistan, blaming it of being responsible for the destruction of Kashmir, and said that Islamabad practices hypocrisy, not solidarity with the people of Kashmir. Speaking virtually with activist Dr. Shabir Chaudhry, Mahmood said, Pakistan annually observes Kashmir Solidarity Day in February, but people in its illegally occupied territories of Pakistan-administered Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan are denied even basic fundamental rights and are meted out with severe brutality for voicing their concerns. He said Pakistan falsely claims to have granted autonomy to the region, but elected officials have no say in the policy making and are only there to execute orders of Islamabad installed lent officers.
तो पाकिस्तान के ज़ेर कब्ज़ा जो रियासत जम्मू कश्मीर के इलाके हैं जैसे गिलगित बल्तिस्तान है और ये जो पाकिस्तानी मकबूजा कश्मीर जिसे आज़ाद कश्मीर कहा जाता है, यहाँ पर तो पाकिस्तान ने किसी किस्म की आज़ादी दी नहीं हुई। यहाँ पर तो लोगों को बोलने का लोगों को हक हासिल नहीं है। गिलगित बल्तिस्तान में जो है वो शेड्यूल 4 है और वहाँ पर लोगों पर उन्होंने बगावत और गद्दारी के मुकदमे दर्ज कर रखे हैं। तो फिर हमारे साथ तो इज़हारी यकजहती हो ही नहीं सकता ना।
The activist further highlighted even after over 70 years, locals have no access to electricity and water, while Islamabad continues to exploit their natural resources. He said with no legal recourse available, an assertive international intervention is the only way the hapless people can be saved from imminent doom.
Moving on, days after nearly 45 graves belonging to the minority Ahmadiyya community were allegedly desecrated by police and Muslim clerics for using Islamic symbols on gravestones at a cemetery in Pakistan's Lahore. The Human Rights Commission of Pakistan has expressed outrage and concern over the incident. The rights group said such acts are becoming almost routine, leaving members of the Ahmadiyya community as beleaguered in death as they are in life. The Commission in a statement demanded action against the perpetrators and said the desecration of graves is an affront to human dignity and must not be permitted. Activists say Ahmadiyya community has been facing persecution and targeted violence for several decades in Pakistan due to draconian legislative laws over accusations their faith insults Islam. In 1974, Pakistan's constitution was amended and the Ahmadiyyas were declared as non-Muslims. And eventually in 1984, the Pakistani government enacted ordinance and made it a criminal offence for them to call themselves as Muslims or to refer their faith as Islam. The White House speak to head U.S. Central Command Lieutenant General Michael Kurilla in testimony to the Senate Armed Services Committee during his confirmation hearing on Tuesday warned that Al-Qaeda and ISIS are reconstituting. Military leaders need to invest more in intelligence capabilities, particularly informants on the ground, if they expect to be able to continue effective counter-terrorism operations in Afghanistan, he said.
Lieutenant General Michael Kurilla, US President Joe Biden's pick to be commander of Central Command, warned Al-Qaeda and ISIS were reconstituting in a wide-ranging Senate confirmation hearing on Tuesday. Kurilla said that the Taliban has not renounced Al-Qaeda. Earlier, the report of the UN Security Council on activities of the Islamic State and Al-Qaeda and their affiliates made public this week said terror group Al-Qaeda's Indian subcontinent affiliate has retained a presence in at least 6 provinces of Afghanistan and has approximately 200 to 400 fighters.
Senator, as you identified, one of the challenges is the threat to the homeland from Al-Qaeda and ISIS-K. They are reconstituting. The Taliban has not renounced Al-Qaeda. ISIS-K, with the release of the prisoners both from the Bagram prison and Pul-Sharki, are in the process of reconstituting. While they have aspirations to attack the homeland, they do not have the capability yet. Additionally, we have the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan.
Al-Qaeda has received a significant boost following the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan in August last year, as some of its closest sympathizers within Taliban now occupy senior positions in the new Afghan government. Meanwhile, the United States said on Monday it was offering a reward of up to $10 million each for information leading to the identification or location of ISIS-K leader Sanaullah Ghaffari and for information leading to the arrest of those responsible for a deadly August 2021 attack at Kabul airport. Ghaffari was responsible for approving all ISIS-K operations throughout Afghanistan and arranging funding to conduct operations, the US State Department said. The bombing occurred on August 26 as US troops were trying to help both Americans and Afghans flee in the chaotic aftermath of the Taliban's takeover and compounded America's sense of defeat after 20 years of war. 13 US troops and at least 170 Afghans were killed in the bombing.
The Nepal government has reacted to a recent report by UK TV network BBC News on encroachment by China on Nepalese land and said that the issue should be dealt with on the basis of reality, not on reports. Government spokesperson and Minister for Information and Communication, Gyanendra Bahadur Karki, at a regular press conference on Tuesday said, "We should deal it not on the basis of reports but on the basis of reality at appropriate times. The reality should be studied promptly and the government would publicize official statement thereafter only." He expressed his confidence that border issue would be resolved through diplomatic efforts. A leaked Nepal government's report commissioned last September has accused China of encroaching into western Nepal in Humla district along their shared border. The report was leaked by BBC. Despite all evidence on the ground, the government's report is now pending with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The Chinese embassy in Kathmandu has denied that there has been any encroachment, but the report is likely to put pressure on Nepal's growing links with China. Mountaineers from the Indian Army on Wednesday rescued a trekker who was stranded without food and water for nearly 48 hours in the cleft of a steep hill in the southern Indian state of Kerala. 23-year-old R. Bapu slipped and fell into the crevice on Monday while on a hike with 3 friends. He got stuck in the cleft and had only enough space to sit inside it. 3 different rescue teams had failed to reach him earlier. On Wednesday morning, the Indian Army finally made contact. As soon as he was rescued, the Army personnel fed him food and water and he was moved to the district hospital. Kerala's Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan took to Twitter and thanked the rescue team for timely support and for saving the man's life. The 1,000 feet Kurumbachi Hill in Kerala is known for its steep terrain and the state's forest department has previously warned trekkers about the risk of hiking up the hill. India's coronavirus cases continue to decline and with that, several states have eased COVID-19 restrictions. Priests in northern Varanasi city on Tuesday performed the Ganga Aarti, a sacred Hindu fire ritual of worshipping the holy Ganges river after a month of being closed for devotees due to coronavirus. After a month of being closed for devotees due to coronavirus, priests in India's northern Varanasi city on Tuesday performed the Ganga Aarti, a sacred Hindu fire ritual of worshipping the holy Ganges river. A huge crowd of devotees gathered at the Dashashwamedh Ghat on the Ganges river bank to witness the Aarti, where a group of priests performed rituals accompanied by hymns and chiming of bells to appease goddess Ganga.
कोरोना के बढ़ते संक्रमण को देखते हुए लगभग 1 महीने से घाट पे आना प्रतिबंधित हो गया था। इस वजह से मां गंगा की जो आरती है वो सांकेतिक आरती हो रही थी, एक आरती हो रही थी। अब वो वापस पुनः स्वरूप अपनी आरती 7 अर्चकों द्वारा भगवती मां गंगा की महाआरती प्रारंभ हो चुकी है।
India's active cases comprise 2.11% of the total infections, while the national COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to 96.70%.
आरती चालू हो गई तो काफी अच्छा लग रहा है। आरती बंद होने से काफी लोगों को दुख पहुंचा था, भावनाओं को काफी ठेस पहुंचा था, लेकिन यह है कोविड प्रोटोकॉल का पालन करते हुए आरती होना चाहिए। प्रोटोकॉल जरूरी है पालन करना कोविड का।
The Ganges is one of the most revered rivers in the world. It is worshipped by Hindus, who make up about 80% of India's 1.3 billion people. They call it Ganga Mata or Mother Ganga and believe a dip in the river absolves a lifetime of sins. Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on southasianewsline.com. You can also visit us on facebook.com/IsAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @IsAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.